Well, this is the Tuesday following Market America's International Convention, and I'll tell you one of my favorite highlights of the entire event was getting to hear Elizabeth Weber get on stage and share her ABC 1, 2, 3, and share all the great stuff that she was sharing on the Zooms and how easy it was to do the presentation and to build inside of this new world we have today. And I'll tell you one thing, when we were done, I had about 5 bajillion questions on the actual running of it and how it actually ran. And I was like, all right, I need to ask her some questions. And instead of just being selfish, I was like, let's just do it on a recorded platform. So if you're here tonight and you were not here for that, this is a great thing. If you're here in the future on YouTube, that's awesome. And I'm excited to get to hear from Miss Elizabeth Weber on her platform and how she runs the Zoom ABC 1, 2, 3.
Okay, first of all, I thought you were going to ask me questions to that training, but, you know, we can get started. You know, a lot of people ask me, how many people do you have on a Zoom,
Yes.
right? How many people do you have on a Zoom? Well, you can't have less than 3 because you're not building a relationship. You need you, your senior business partner or your sponsor, and your guest. That would be minimum, because if you just have you and somebody else, you're not imprinting, you're not teaching, you're not imprinting the way we do things. So the least amount of people you want to have on there is 3. Again, it's great when you're economically connected to each other. You want to have like your sponsor or a senior business partner. Better yet, have your sponsor, your senior business partner, right?
Yep.
4. Better yet than 3, 4. And that's why I always say, find a running mate, at least one person you can run with, you know, the step 1, step 2, trial, run, repeat, or part 1, part 2, trial, run, repeat. Because you always want to have somebody on there. You always want to be building relationships. That is the key to this business, is people got to want to work with you.
Right.
You know, the plan's great, the concepts are awesome, everything is awesome, but they got to want to work with you.
Right.
Right.
So let's say I'm a new person, right? Or let's say I've been somebody who's been around the business, and I have shown the plan at the coffee shops. I've gone to Panera Bread more times than I can count, bust out the flip charts, and now I'm like, okay, what are you talking about, this new Zoom thing? So when you say like step 1, step 2, step 3, what does that mean? Like, what am I doing?
Okay.
What are we doing?
We book an appointment for an evaluation.
Okay.
The evaluation approach, simple. Hey, I'm looking at a business. I'd love for you to evaluate it. You may not be interested, but you may know somebody who is. Or, hey, I'm looking at a business. Can you pop on a Zoom and put another set of eyes on it for me? Just asking people to evaluate it, whether it's evaluate it for them or evaluated for you in the hopes that, you know, they are interested or they know the right people. But you just want to ask people to evaluate it. Bobby Canada asked me to evaluate it 28 years ago. If he tried to recruit me or approach me, or my walls would go up and, you know, I wouldn't have looked. But
Right.
He was asking for my help. You know, will you help me out? I value your opinion. You've tried so many different things. Just give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. So I looked at it and got excited. How can you not get excited about it, right?
Right, for sure.
So, but what happens is I find that most people say way too much. Right? They try to explain it. They're just saying way too much. You got to keep it simple. Hey, I want you to pop on a Zoom. I want you to look at a business I'm looking at.
Okay, so you would say business. You would say, like, I want you to look at a business. I mean, you're gonna.
You could say online business, or I'm even looking at something. I'd love to get your take on it.
Okay.
Right.
Something want to get your take on it.
I mean, it's so simple. It's crazy. It's when you start trying to explain it, and no, it's a pop on, and that's why it's important that the first part is 30 minutes or less. Mm-hmm. Right, because you're just asking somebody to evaluate it.
Right.
Okay.
The first part is going to be 30 minutes. And we're showing you say first part. I know you on stage you talked about building relationships and then showing the first part. What would you consider the first part of the plan? What amount of information?
The first part of the plan is the plan all the way up to the 45 versus 2 to 3 year plan. Okay. Does not take long. It's not that many slides. It's a few concepts. It's simple. anybody can really talk about those slides,
Yep.
especially if they've seen it a couple of times. That would be my first part, but before you even get into the slide presentation, you want to make sure you welcome people on as people get on. Hey, you see their name. Hey, you know, David, wow, great to meet you. Where you from? What do you do? What's your background?
Yep.
And as people get on, and you want to keep asking questions,
Okay.
right? You want to welcome them on. You might even intro your senior business partner and your sponsor and have them give their little commercial, you know, their name, where they're from, and why they chose the 2 to 3 year plan, or what this company's done for them, or a product testimony, anything. But you want to make sure you're building relationships and connecting with everybody on that Zoom. So welcome them on. I mean, you might get one person on way before others get on, because we don't all get on at the same time. Start to build a relationship with that person. Ask them where they're from. Ask them all about them, and let them tell you as much as they want. Let them keep talking.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you get this? Keep talking. And then whenever any one of the senior business partners or the sponsor can connect with something they're saying with, they do. Like today, I did one, and the woman was the same age as me. And I said, "You're kidding me. You were born in 1957. And I said, and she said, "Yeah." And I said, "What month?" And she said, "August." I said, "August what?" She said, "August 4th. I said, "That's my daughter's birthday." She's going, "You're kidding me." So you always want to be connecting and having fun, smiling, asking people to put their video on. If they don't want to, don't push it. Just say, "I can't wait to see your face the next time we get on." You get that?
Yep.
Just having fun with it, welcoming, finding out about them, letting them talk as much as they want, seriously.
Okay.
Let them talk as much as they want. That's how you build a relationship, right?
I love it. I love it. So we invite somebody by texting them to come check out a presentation, to come evaluate something that we're going to be building. And then they get on this presentation. We're building the relationship with 3 minimum, preferably 4 people. And the 4 people would be obviously the guest, the person that invited the guest. So the new owner that's inviting the guest, and the upline senior business partner,
Sponsor.
the sponsor, and then the credibility person, the upline senior partner.
Yeah, or you can even just have, like, I pop on a lot.
Okay.
Like the Ben Ginders or the Frank Kiefers or whatever, or the David and Stacy Whited, or the whatever, because by now there are so many people under them that know how to do these slides and show the plan. They don't have to show the plan. The only time you have to go through that process is if you've got somebody new and you're building a new leg.
Yes, that's
right?
super good. That's super good.
Right. So now Stacy and David, or I get on either before the first part, like the beginning of the first part, just to build a relationship, or the very end of the second part. Those are the perfect times to pop on.
Okay, I love this pop on concept, because I'll just be honest with you. When I've run the Zoom ABC pattern before, and I think there's probably a lot of leaders that can fall into this trap, because I want to be effective with my time. I want to leverage my time well. So I start building in, and I have person A and person B and person C, not in the ABC pattern, but just different people that are all wanting me to help show the plan for them. So I'm like, oh, instead of showing 15 different plans, I'll just put 15 people on one presentation. We'll just do one big first part presentation. And you were like, oh, Colton, what have you done?
You cannot.
Pop on concept.
Yeah, and you can't imprint that way. You've got to do it with the team. You've got to imprint it so that they learn the slides. And it's so easy because you can finally get everybody together. People show up. People, like some people will say to me, well, how do people feel when there's 3 or 4 people on there and they get on? They love it. They love to be social. We're friendly. We're happy. We're asking them about them. They feel great.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? People, nobody is really minded or been caught off guard or anything. And, you know, you can even say, you know, I want to show you something with my team, however you want to say it, but just the simplest, easiest way. You know, I'm looking at something, I'd love for you to evaluate it.
Okay. I love that. So we get somebody on the presentation. I had a great question here. Some people are very talkative. They get on there, they're like, da, 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 I'm from Michigan and I do this, and this is where in Michigan I'm from. And they got their whole kit and caboodle story ready to go. Other people are like, fine, yes, good, no. How do you get that person talking a little bit and sharing more?
Just asking them questions. It's usually evened out. People kind of interact. Your sponsor, your senior business partner. Oh, I know somebody from there. Or, wow, I have a similar background. You want to get people on the team. If you have a large team, obviously you want to get people on that Zoom that can relate to the guests that are going on there. So the bigger your team, the better, because you can kind of pick and choose. But you also, and that's why I said you can have up to 8 people on the Zoom.
Okay.
That's max.
On a
Max.
And out of the 8, how many of those would you suggest being owners versus guests, or does that even matter? Just that's kind of a magical
number. It does matter. 2 to 3 guests. When we're 2 to 3 guests, whenever we do part 1, then we go to part 2. Right from part 2, we go to trial run, which is part 1 again. And we tell them to get 2 or 3 people. That's it. No more than 3. 2 to 3 people to help them evaluate it. We want to set them up for success. It's a trial run. It's great if you were to start any business, or if you were to even buy a house, you'd get 2 or 3 people you know, like, and trust to look at it for you. Same thing with this. And we say there's no pressure. They may not be interested. It's fine, but just ask them to evaluate it. You need to see it 3 times anyway. So this is a chance for you to see it the second time around. Now the second time they're like, wow, they get a little bit more. But you kind of got to lead them towards keeping it simple. I really coach on that. I say, listen, how did we get you on? Oh, well, she just asked me to look at something for her.
That's a great question. How did we get you on? So
how did we get you on this Zoom? Well, that's how you're going to get your person on. You're not going to. So like you're imprinting the approach too with everybody on the Zoom, and you're having fun. And I mean, we have like a 95% ratio from part 1 to part 2 to trial run. I mean, it's going unbelievable because there's no pressure. We're just having fun. I mean, I was on 11 just today.
Dang. Oh my goodness.
But you figure it's only a couple of minutes of your time, and you could really be anywhere. It's not a big deal. You kind of get used to it. And then when you realize how much help you've just given to somebody just by popping on the beginning of the first part to just kind of introduce yourself, tell your story, edify that team is growing fast, they're committed, you're so fortunate to be on this team, edify them. Now, edify you before you pop on. So we got to teach edification too, because before I get on, they've already talked about me. Okay. So when I get on, they go, oh, this is the woman that I was telling you about, Elizabeth. I'm like, hi guys, how you doing? And I start asking questions, and we tell them it's a 2-part process. After the first part, if they're interested, we'll book the second part. They're all interested.
So if we're going to think about this like a football team, you got the Patrick Mahomes, you got the, which is the greatest quarterback ever. You got the coach, and you got different players on the field, right? So you have the prospect that's seeing the plan, you have the person that is invited the person, you have their sponsor, and then you have an Elizabeth Weber. You have somebody that pops on, the pop-on. That's I've never heard that concept before. That's what I got really excited about when you were talking, because otherwise you turn into this person that's showing all these plans, or have an absentee sponsor. It's one of the two.
Right. That's not imprinting.
Right.
Your goal is to get off that Zoom as a main presenter and to be a pop-on. That's your goal.
So you want the sponsor to really show the first half with the...
that's a great question. Oh my goodness, Colton. We go back and forth with slides.
Okay.
Like no one shows the whole thing.
Okay.
So I'll say, pick 1 or 2 slides you want to like focus on, and we're going to have you do that.
That's good.
Yeah, or I'll have someone do the whole thing and I'll be the commentator.
Okay.
Like I'll say, okay, you do it because I want to make sure you can do it, and then I'll fill in the gaps.
So not as the pop-on person, you're not doing that. As the pop-on, you're really just sharing your story, popping back off. But as the coach, as the person that's actually showing the plan, you're integrating the new person who invited their person on, you're integrating them into sharing their favorite parts of the presentation.
Yes. And not right away. And that's why you want to have, 4 people is perfect, because you've got, the guest, you've got the person that is kind of bringing them on. I mean, we're down to like 6 different levels. So we have like 8 people on, because they're all learning at a different pace.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, we get them doing it really fast.
Yeah. So I'm a new person. My name's Jake. I'm the new person, right? Jake brings on his friend, Johnny. So Jake invites Johnny. Johnny's now seeing the plan with Jake's sponsor. So my sponsor, Johnny's on. Johnny's seeing the plan for the first time. I'm already in the business, or I'm in my trial run at least. And my sponsor is showing the plan. But we have a pop-on person, which is kind of the senior business partner, who pops on, shares their story, lends credibility, gives it back to the sponsor. And then the sponsor and Johnny are showing the plan to the new person, right? That's kind of the way that it's functioning.
You're absolutely right. There's all different, like everybody has their role,
Yeah.
And it works out beautiful. And I guess the biggest thing there is the people, the guests on this Zoom see, wow, this is a team. And we stress, we're a team. You will never do this alone. You're in business for yourself and not by yourself. We have fun.
Yep.
We become good friends, and they love it. They love it. But some people, it'll take longer for them to take a slide or two, and that's okay. We're not all alike. Then others are eager, to show it,
Like, get out of my way. I got this thing. I'm better than you already.
And that's great. I mean, tomorrow I have a Zoom, and I have somebody that, a diamond in the rough and a new leg that has nobody. So guess what I'm going to be doing?
You're the new sponsor.
Part 1, I'm the new sponsor. I'll be doing part 1. We'll go back and forth. I might have someone on that can relate to this guest on there, just a 5-minute pop on. I mean, even a person that's the same occupation or whatever, they're not going to get on there and read slides, but they can pop on.
Right. That's good. They can pop on and share their story. That's all we're asking them to do.
That's all. You're on.
It doesn't have to be a senior business partner. That could be a cross-line.
Cross-line anybody. Cross-line anybody that has the same background. A lot of people think, oh my God, I got to pop on, and then they never get off. No, you got to say, hey, I'm so excited. I just want to, to pop on, just to introduce myself and say goodbye.
Yes, that's good. I like that. And so so you already have been building this person up. So like if you were going to you're the sponsor and you're working with this new person, the diamond in the rough in your organization, you're going to bring somebody to pop on. So let's say the person that your new diamond in the rough is bringing on is an NFL football player, former NFL football player. You're like, oh, my buddy Dennis Franks should pop on this and share a little bit of his story. You're not going to have Dennis pop on if the meeting starts at 4. You're not going to have Dennis pop on at 4. You're going to have Dennis pop on at 4:05. And you're going to be sharing a little bit and building up this guy named Dennis. And man,
exactly.
You need to know about my friend Dennis. And then Dennis pops on. We'll actually have Dennis join us here in a second. Dennis pops on and you're like, hey, Dennis, thank you so much for joining us. And then you get them talking.
Exactly.
Okay.
Either way, you can either be surprised that he's on or, I have Dennis coming on, or it really doesn't matter. What matters is if they can relate to that person. And like I said, I like to do a pop on either at the very beginning of the first one or at the very end of the last one to answer questions and to, just in case they didn't do the trial run, but all my people are so trained right now.
Yeah.
They book trial runs all day long.
Okay.
Right, all day long, and they get people to lead to people, and it's not a big deal, and there's no script, and just, hey, I'm looking at something, I need your help, can you pop on?
That's so good. That's so good. It's a Jedi move because it's almost like a built-in 3-way call. Like one thing my parents trained me on since I started was doing 3-way calls and getting this outside credibility source to come in, because people always believe that you might have gotten connected to somebody. They might not believe you know what you're talking about, but you might have gotten connected to somebody. So when you can build that up, but it's built in now to your actual plan showing, it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, no, you're amazing. You know the exact things to say. Let me tell you something. You're good, but we've been doing this and perfecting it. And, what I found is that the first part, most of that time that is spent is really building that relationship and connecting people and talking and just having fun.
Yes.
And then you share the screen. a lot of my folks do like the sizzle video.
Okay.
I don't share it, but they all do. So it's either good or it doesn't matter, but it lends credibility, I think, for those people that maybe I'm not popping on. So that credibility, sizzle video is good. And then you go right to the slides, and then you go bing, bang. We go right across the Zoom room, and everybody takes a slide. And
fun. Okay.
people might add in their 2 cents, but we get through that first part with relationships in 30, 40 minutes. But I got to warn you, I've been on Zooms where people just kept wanting to talk about the economy and all that. And we didn't even get to the part 1. I just gave my own quick overview of what we're all about and booked to follow up.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Every situation is going to be a little bit different. It's like not perfect, and you just got to go with it. And what you want to make sure is that you book the follow-up before you get off that Zoom, and you explain the process of there's going to be a part 1, part 2. So that, because I've had people after part 1 go, I want to see it now.
Yeah.
I'm booked.
Yeah.
I'm booked. And I'll say, you know what, I've got another Zoom, and you want to book that part 2, 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, that's good. So I get a lot of people asking about that, about part 1, part 2. Like, let's say you get in the groove and the prospect's in the groove, you would never show that second part. Put the brakes on and book the second part for part 2 for another time.
Yeah, honestly, I have shown it. I'm going to be
this is great.
Transparent with you. There's been times when I have shown it, when I've got somebody who is who has a lot of experience in network marketing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They just want to see the numbers.
Yep.
And I will show it. But there's certain circumstances, somebody, a high-level professional that, I just want to see the numbers. You can usually tell who those people are, but 9 times out of 10, I don't have the time because I'm booked for another Zoom.
Yeah.
And I honestly have to say to them, you know what, I'm already booked up. Can I get back on with you, like, let's say at 8 o'clock tonight? And I'll book it for that night.
That's good. So there's that 30-minute timeline, which is really good, both for them and for you. So it kind of protects both of you guys. You're like, hey, I got 30 minutes here, but also not rushing the relationship part. So you're like, I got 30 minutes, but that gives you kind of your excuse to bounce out without showing the second half is we had this amount of time. I got to get to another meeting here, but let's get that second one booked.
And let me tell you, they appreciate it. And it's very it's a very imprintable, because the new person's like, this is easy. You're just talking, you're showing the first part, I can do that. But if you're trying to rush to go to the plan, and we know that the second part takes longer, believe it or not, than the first part.
Right.
Second part takes longer.
For sure.
Now, also the first part, I do want to tell you this, Colton, is that we go 45 versus 2 to 3. We'll show the portal tour, the website tour,
okay.
or we'll send the link to Deb Grigas's website tour. She does a great one. But what you want to do there is, say the next part is to book the part 2. Would you like to see how the plan works?
That's good.
They all say, yeah, I want to see how it works.
Yeah.
You want to book that within 24 to 48 hours.
That's good. So you're booking the part 2. So let's go back to part 1. Let's stick on part 1 for just one more second here. You're at part 1. You mentioned you can have up to 8. So when you're talking 8, let's say I'm Johnny again. I'm brand new in the business, or I'm still on my trial run. I don't just have one person. I have 2 or 3 different prospects on, or different, potential people that I want to put this in front of that are evaluating this. I have my sponsor. I have the pop-on person. What's that get us up to now? 7?
And your senior business partner.
Okay, so not just a pop-on person, but maybe another person as well. So maybe two of the plan, sponsor, senior business partner. Because I'm sure as this is going down the line, you're like ABC. Somebody goes from the new person to the senior business partner pretty quick. Down to that C level. So that makes.
They do. I mean, my people are pop-ons.
Okay.
Like a lot of my girls are that are on this team, they're all pop-ons.
Right.
We're imprinting this like ridiculously fast because it's so imprintable. It's like we don't have to meet somebody down the street, and it's very difficult to get 4 to 5 people together.
Yep.
I mean, This makes the business so simple, it's crazy.
Yep. So let's say I'm somebody and I'm like, man, I've not talked to this person in a little bit. Are you still okay having multiple people on their first look if I've not talked to this person? Let's say it's maybe not all the way back to high school, but somebody I've not talked to in a little bit. I've lost touch with them there, because that's one thing I've run into a lot is people are like, oh man, but I don't want to have other people on there. I just want to like really show them the first part because.
And just call them.
Okay.
Don't do it alone. Just call them and do a telephone call to catch up.
Okay.
And then get them on the Zoom.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have people, these are people that they're asking to evaluate it.
Yep.
And they're just coming on. They might even say, hey, I have, I know you're out of work. I have something that you may be interested in. You should pop on and evaluate this. You should get on and evaluate this. However, but we get everybody talking about themselves. I mean, if you want to talk to someone you haven't talked to in a while, I would call them and have a conversation before you get on there.
We bring them on to see part one.
Yeah.
Okay. So have that conversation, have a relationship time with them where you're catching up. How you doing? What's going on before? And then I'd like to show you something. I just wanted to catch up because it's been a while, how you doing, kind of thing. And then get them on to some kind of a presentation.
I don't know. I'm dealing with so many new people that I just meet and I'll say, hey, get on our Zoom, evaluate,
I love it.
And they meet the team, they fall in love with one of the team members. We're more apt to get somebody to relate when we got 4 people versus just me.
Totally.
Sometimes you're up. Let's face it, we're not always up. It's great to have other energy.
Yes.
More than 2 or 3. I mean, there's so much energy. Yeah. And whenever you're doing a trial run, you want to ask the person to bring 2 or 3 people on to evaluate it.
Okay. We're pushing for that. We're pushing for the new person to bring on 2 or 3 people.
2 to 3, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Would you ever mix multiple different owners on like cross line or any kind of a mix and match or any I got this person, put them together, or just keep it all in that one line?
I keep it all in the same team.
Okay.
I do. That way I can keep track of it. When you've got I've seen Zooms where there's people have asked me to get on and I'm like, how the hell are you imprinting?
That'd be my presentation. They're so full of people. Absolutely.
How are you imprinting? How are you building a relationship? You got to make people feel important.
Yeah.
When they're on there with 30, 40 people, they don't feel important.
That's good.
They don't. So that's why we want them. I mean, my girl, Pam, she only likes her, Grace, and one other person on the Zoom. That's all she likes. But now she's got so many people going through the trial run that she's got 6, 7, 8 people on. And do you know how much more excitement that adds to it and more credibility when you're going around the Zoom and people are saying, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm an attorney, and we're all so excited about this.
Yep, 100%.
It's going to change the world, right?
Yep. All right, so let me ask you another question on part 1 here. So this was the judo move that I heard last night. It was a little secret insight into the mind of Elizabeth. I loved it. It was genius. So I have a new person. They invite some people that were supposed to show up, but lo and behold, what do you know? There was a game, something happened, flim, flam, flum. They didn't make it. And now I feel down in the dirt. And I text Elizabeth and I'm like, Elizabeth, we need to cancel because my person's not here. What do you do in that situation? You just let them cancel and go bye-bye and hopefully we get another one? What do you do?
No, you keep the Zoom appointment. Okay. You keep that appointment because you know they either said too much, right? They said too much.
Yep, that's
so you want to coach them and just say, no, you're not looking to recruit them. We're not looking for that. We're getting people to lead us to people until we find the right people.
That's good.
It's okay. You just want them to evaluate it because we need you to see it 3 times before you even get it. And we want to set you up for success. So it's so funny because I was actually a pup-on for that one. And they were just going through some things with her. And she goes, no, I want to do this. I'm just so nervous. I'm not going to be able to find my people. I've done so many things. And I pupped on at the most perfect time and told my story about how nobody would listen to me, how, I tried so many things, and I put her at ease because she could relate to it. I'm like, don't worry about it. You know what? What are you saying to people? Well, I told them I have this business where you can make a lot of money, and it's online shopping. And I'm like, listen, first of all, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, you want them to pop on to evaluate it. You'd like to get another set of eyes on it.
Yep.
And for them to look at it. They may not be interested in it, and that's fine.
That's good. So one couple of questions on here. People asking about leg versus team. I think I just try to eliminate the word legs out of my verbiage as much as I can. Just call them teams, even though I am talking about a leg. When I say team, I mean like that leg, that organization. However you word that, I just kind of mean team on that. And then Gigi, I know she's one of your go-to ladies here. She had something good to add through here, so I just want to read it real quick. She said, the 3 guests I booked today, I have not talked to in a while. I wanted to talk to them first so they can talk and tell me their story first. All 3 booked for part 1. Potential guests I have already been in contact more often. I do not need to call and talk. I just book a part 1 through Messenger or text. So I love
that. Gigi's the one I'm talking about.
She's killing it.
Leg that I'm doing part 1s with on Thursday, right, Gigi?
The diamond in the rough. I love that.
She's my diamond. Her and Keith are my diamond in the rough, and I've got to do part of that plan with her.
Yeah.
To get her started. Now she's going to become the leader of her own team.
Yeah.
And then she'll get them started. And it'll take a little bit, but sometimes it happens like that.
So we got a mixture of different levels of people on here. So we have some people that have been in the business for a long time that are higher on franchise levels. We have some newer people on here. So this is going to be more of an advanced question, but selfishly, I want to know, and then I know there's enough people on here that are higher levels as well. Let's say I'm evaluating my organization. I'm looking at it. I have a diamond in the rough, and there's people between. How do I engage those people in between with me and the diamond in the rough? And how do I,
oh my God,
without bending their arm backwards and making them feel bad, but also bending their arm backwards and making them feel bad to make sure we're working with that new person?
You are so much like your father. I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
That is the most perfect question, because if first of all, if I'm working with someone where they have people above them who could also be working with them, I encourage them to get on, because you can wake up those stable and waiting people when they see how simple it is and how and you can wake so many of them up, and all of a sudden they'll do a slide and they get excited. People don't mind getting on Zoom. I don't even mind doing trainings on Zoom. I'm in the comfort of my home. If I can help somebody, right?
Yep.
And they don't mind at all, Colton.
Yeah.
You might find a few that do, or maybe somebody is, I don't know, anybody can get on for 5 minutes, and that story will impact somebody and change somebody's life.
Yeah, that's so good. So so you'd have them kind of be a pop-on person, is what you're saying. You'd ask them, hey, I got a new person inside your organization I'm working with.
No, actually, I would ask them to be part of the presentation if I don't have enough people.
Okay, that's good. So if you have less than 8, then that could be the 8th person, 7th or 8th person.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say 8. I'm saying you have 8 when you have somebody on a trial run who's bringing somebody on a trial run who has 2 to 3 people.
So you have somebody on a trial run who has somebody on a trial run. So you have A that has B that has C that brings on 2 guests. That's 5. Plus the sponsor, plus the senior business partner, plus the pop-on. The senior business partner would be the middle person between you, the pop-on, and the new person. And that would be the senior business partner that you're engaging and trying to get them in the process to work with the new organization.
Yes.
Brilliant. I love that.
You got it. You got it down. So anything over 3 is great. So like me and Gigi are doing some on Thursday. It'll be me, Gigi, the guest. That's 3 people. Now, if I can bring somebody on that can relate to that guest, I'm going to bring them on and they'll do a pop-on. I don't expect them to show the plan with me if they're not economically connected.
Right. Totally. So if they're not economically connected, their main thing would just be to be a pop-on. That would be the only real reason to have somebody outside the economical connection point.
Well, sometimes though, I have people on my team all in that are using other members until they get a team going.
Okay.
They need help with the show and the plan so that they're not doing it by themselves. So we're helping each other get going too. So you can team up with somebody that you're not economically connected to get this ABC pattern going.
Man, I hope you guys are getting this. She is Jedi Judo. Whatcha? This is awesome stuff. I love it. So you've invited somebody to see the plan. You've texted them, and anybody can do that text message. That was a brilliant text message. Hey, what should you evaluate something, right? Especially the new marketing app. You can swipe left on hot prospects, go through your contact list. Maybe not, sexy hot. I'm talking about hot as far as good prospects for your business, but swipe, get them in there, and then you can text those people and let them know, hey, we're going to be building something. I want you to evaluate this. We'll love your opinion. I know that.
No, I would just say, hey, I want you to look at something. Can you pop on a Zoom?
So good. Nothing more needs to be said.
No, and then, my people are trained so they know to start talking about, we have the only tracking system. You want to be careful you don't read this, talk about the slides before you show the slides, right. But it's still okay to give a little mini overview.
Yeah, talking in themes. That's good.
Yeah.
Learning to dance. You got to learn to dance, as JR says, right?
Yeah, that's why we danced. ABC, right?
So we're learning this dance. We got step 1 here. Now the person's excited. They're like, okay, I want to know more. What else? What do I need to do next? 24 to 48 hours, we're booking that step 2. So we get the person on step 2. Do I have other people that have been on step 1s on my step 2, or is it the exact same group that was on the step 1s, or a similar group that was on the step 1s on step 2?
Exact same group.
Okay.
So if there was only one person on step 1, you have one person on step 2.
Got it.
If there were 3 people on step 1, you get 3 people on step 2. And now all 3 of them aren't going to be able to, you've got to do this. You can't do this like a UBP.
Okay.
It's all about imprinting. It's all about caring enough about that one person and getting them to lead to people. Yeah. So step 1, step 2, same person will see step 2. We put them in the plan. We show it to them. Trial run.
What do you mean you put them in the plan? What does that mean?
We'll put them in the 001. Okay, that's
they're in. Okay.
Right, they're that 001. If I am putting that person under someone on my team, the people I'm putting that person under will be on that Zoom.
Smart, so smart. I love that. So that way they can start to visualize it, because it's not just names on a presentation. It's not Mark and Kate. It's, man, that's my buddy, that's my friend, that's me. I'm making this money. I like that. That's good.
And whoever we have on the team that we're doing our personal evaluations that are going to go on that team or that leg, whatever you want to call it, we have them on. Now, this is key. This is how we create momentum, right? Because we're all doing our 2 evaluations. I mean, I have personals on every week, right? And I have someone doing a trial run, and all of a sudden I have my personal person coming on, and I tell them they're all going to be on the same team. It's whoever qualifies first.
That's good.
Right?
Yep.
So now they're all looking to qualify, and the way you qualify is by bringing 2 to 3 people on a Zoom and getting at least one to do a trial run.
That's good. I like that. So you're getting them all on there, and then your goal is to get them on the trial run next. So let's stick with number 2 here for a second. So we're on part 2. Do I start where I left off at the 45 versus 2 to 3, or do I start back at the beginning and go through the slides again? The beginning.
No, you start with the last slide, 45 versus 2 to 3.
And that's probably why it's important to keep the same group, because that was the slides that they saw last.
Well, you always want to keep the same group. Now, if somebody says, hey, I need a part 2, do you mind if yeah, let them. If there's not too many people, let them come in. It's just not the way we imprint.
No, I like that. I like sticking with bullseye, and then if you need to make exceptions, you can a little bit, like a little fudgy, but what's the bullseye? What are we aiming for here each time? Aiming for A leads to B leads to C, but they all stay in that same group there of part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, otherwise, they don't feel important. They don't feel special. They just, and you can lose them.
Yeah.
You can lose them. I mean, it's not a big deal. When you're doing 30-minute sections, it's so simple, you know? So you want to start out with that same slide you left off with, 45 versus 2 to 3, and say you want to see how the 2 to 3 year plan works.
Yep.
And you start going through that, putting them in there. If there are other people that are going to be placed on that team, which we do a lot, they're on that Zoom too.
Okay.
Anybody that's going to be economically connected, just as long as there's not too many. I like a 4-to-1 ratio.
Okay, 4-to-1 ratio.
Of team and guest.
Yes.
4-to-1.
4 owners to 1 guest.
Yeah, or 3 owners to 1 guest, depending, because you don't want to have more than 8 on.
Okay, so 3-to-1 would be a solid ratio, but not more than 8, even on part 2. Not more than 8. Okay.
Yeah, and then when you go through part 2, first of all, let's go back to part 1, because I'll ask the guests what interested them the most in reference to the concept, so that
at the end of it,
to make it their idea.
Okay.
You know, I'll say, hey, what interested you the most? I mean, isn't this amazing? And blah, 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 blah. And they're always like, wow, to get paid to shop, shopping annuity, or wow, I get to have my own online business. And I'll say, when's a good time? Let's book the second part, because you've already gone through the process in the beginning. Let's book the second part, right? To show the 4 steps.
So you're going to ask them what was their favorite part after the end of part 1. And you're going to kind of mix in. I like what you said the other day. I was talking to you about the shop.com tour part. You're like, I don't give them like a tour as in like I'm going through Priceline and Jet or whatever. You know, I'm not going through all the stuff, Jet, flashback. But I'm going through and just showing them the site itself and how there's the shop consultant and here's my name and here's the site, what it looks like and stuff. You're just showing them the general site.
Yeah, well, if you go onto Deb Griegas' YouTube on the overview, it could be even shorter than that. But she does a great overview. But if I'm doing it myself, I'll go through our branded products. I mean, now with this new app and this new trial size thing, we have to do that at the end of part 1.
That's so good. I love that. So good.
That at the end of part 1, get their email address, put them in the system. Now you're helping that new business partner even more. They get the trial size. You get them. It's just ridiculous.
And I'll throw this out there. I used it today because I was really curious on how it worked. I got into a conversation with somebody, talked about the vitamins, and I was like, hey, I'd be willing to send you a free sample of this stuff, you know, just what's your address? And my only thing I ask you is that you try it and that you tell me what you think of it. And they're like, okay, that sounds great. So I sent them the free samples. You guys, that was the easiest process ever. Like putting it in, I already had their address in the contact, bam, 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 bam. So I would imagine, so I got 2 of those actually today. I got 2 people on Trial Size Marketing now, all through that app, and they're sent out today. So that is smooth as butter.
I mean, how that's going to help us tremendously, because that's the one thing people don't do in that first part.
Yeah.
They don't do the trial size marketing. And sometimes you get up to the very end, it's like you just want to book part 2, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, now you can just press a button and they're in the system.
And it's not a Ziploc baggie like a little drug dealer or something. Like they look like professional, like super nice, awesome presentation packets. So they look amazing. We just got a couple boxes of them coming, so I'm excited about that. And then also on the unfranchised marketing, one thing I've always done, because between part 1 and part 2, I forgot to even ask you this. What do you send them home with anything? Any homework assignments between part 1 and part 2, or do you just get them on part 2, or is there anything they should be munching on?
We get them on part 2, 24 to 48 hours, and we do send out the credibility video before part 2.
Okay, so between part 1 and part 2, you're sending the credibility video.
Yes.
So one thing I did like, if you're like me, I got like 15 different playlists on my YouTube channel that I'm always sending people. Like it has a power profile, it's got the digital credibility on almost all of them. The unfranchised marketing, they have the app, but also if you go to unfranchisedmarketing.com, it's kind of your back office for your app itself. Very, very smooth, but they built in there a share presentation feature. So you can put the About MA PDF in there, you can put in the digital credibility, and it sends it as one thing. What I like about it is when they go to it, like on YouTube, they could get lost in the scroll hole of interesting things and cat videos and never get back to my second thing I wanted to show them. Or there's those freaking videos on the side that are like MA scam or whatever. They start clicking on all this other stuff. This puts them on one page where they just see that one thing, and it's the digital credibility, the About MA. So it's not very hard to set up, but I would highly suggest that between those 2 pieces there. That was really
and you know what you're talking about right now, Colton, is to systemize everything.
Yes.
Systemize it so you know exactly the next step, what you're doing. So
Yeah.
you're going to go part 1, part 2. At the end of part 2, let's get to the end of part 2. You're putting them in the plan, and you're telling them, hey, listen, the best part about this is there's no decision to make.
Right.
You know, we want to set you up for success. So this is what we do with everyone. We get 2 or 3 people that you like, know, and trust to get on to evaluate something that you're looking at. They may or may not be interested, but you're looking for their help.
Yep. Looking for your help to evaluate this.
So they get, even if they get 1 person on, we do it. Even if they get no people on, that we do it because we're going to encourage them. But they usually get, I've had people get up to 6 people on, even though I told them only 2 to 3 people. And they say to me, well, I want to make sure I got 2 or 3 on. So that's rare, but it happens. And you got to deal with it, right? You got to deal with it. But if you say 2 to 3, they usually get 2 to 3.
That's
and
good.
When you limit the amount of people, you create a sense of urgency that they're going to get their 2 best.
I love that.
People.
So at part 2 now, we're going through the second half of the presentation and going through the numbers, showing them as if they're in the plan, putting them into it. And this could be a few different people that are seeing part 2 for the first time. So we're going to go through that. Quick question for you on this. Wait a
minute. The same people are seeing part 2.
Correct. Yep. Same people saw part 1 are on part 2 here. Who is showing this plan on part 2? Is it a different person this time, or is it the same people that showed part 1? Are we still bouncing around, or is this just the senior business partner on part 2?
Same people. We'll have people can decide what part they want to do. You might have the senior business part. You might have a new person that has seen it a bunch of times. They'll do apply, create, qualify, activate, and then you'll have someone do slide 1. There's 2 ways. And you'll have someone, when you get to the money, you're going to probably have the same person do that part. It's common sense. Like, let them do a part that you feel they can do and not mess up. And they can't mess up because you're there to pick them up. Yeah. You're there to, be their commentator to whatever they don't say or whatever they may say a little bit wrong, it's okay. You're there to pick up the pieces.
That's good. I like that. So you're kind of giving them some like bumpers on the bowling. Like when they're bowling, they're just kind of like, or like even beyond that, when you're bowling and you're a little kid, they got the little like rail thing, you put it on and it like rolls down the court for you.
But can I tell you something? Yeah. People love that. They love the fact that there's somebody new, that there's somebody that's like maybe just reading the slide, because you want to get them to kind of ad lib and not so much read the slide. They like the fact that there's different types of people doing it because they can see themselves doing it.
Yes, I love that. So you get different people on there sharing a part of part 2 there.
Yeah, so we'll even get them sharing part 2, and then if we have people that are being placed on the team, say whoever qualifies first, this person, will go on that team. I mean, you make the plan come alive. You really do, by talking about people and ask people, are you thinking of a couple of people that you'd love to show this to, that you value their opinion, that you'd love to work with, that are looking for something, that, so many people out there are looking and you can actually help people.
Yes. So this could probably be a whole nother recording. But
now you know why I couldn't do it in 30 minutes.
Yes, exactly. But I just like a quick, it doesn't have to be very long, but just a quick version of this. I'm somebody coming up. I've never really sold anything before. I'm not much of a salesy type person. I'm not even a very charismatic person. I'm kind of more of a quiet personality. And I'm afraid of showing the plan in a way that doesn't actually get somebody excited about it moving forward, because I'm not a very excitable person. What would you say to that person as far as presentation skills for presenting, and how much does that play into the effect of them showing the plan?
They might not. They might just tell their story, tell who they are, where they're from. They might read one slide. Not everybody's going to do it.
Okay.
Not everybody's going to do it. but most people will if you ease them into it and you're having fun and you imprint it. But not everybody does it, Colton. That's a great question. You know, I mean, we don't live in a perfect world, but it's amazing how much you can empower somebody that has just you'd be shocked. I mean, I have people doing it that I thought would never do it because they were so shy and they didn't even want to introduce themselves, and they're like, and now they're full blown out.
Crushing it. So that's kind of my thing is my question is, do you feel like you have to have, maybe each person doesn't have to have this, but do you think you have to have somebody on there that's got a little snap in them? So if you don't have the snap, you got to find somebody that has snap.
Absolutely. No, that's another great question.
Yeah.
That's another great question. You've got to have somebody that can take control, that has, and that's why you have to have a senior business partner on there.
Yeah, I think it's important.
That's why it's all about teamwork, and you have somebody pumping in, and you've got someone that's experienced. We've got enough people going up the line that can do that.
Yeah.
And another
thing on how to learn how to develop that, because I know that's something you've definitely worked on and developed your influence. It's really just your ability to influence other people, because I've seen people with very quiet personalities that can influence well, and I've seen people with very loud personalities that don't influence well. So it's not a loud personality thing, but it's definitely the ability to influence others that you have to develop as you're going through this, your ability to influence people.
And the best way to influence somebody is to lead by example.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So you go through part 2, you finish up part 2, you're on the last slides there. What are your favorite follow-up questions there at the end? Like on the first one you said, what'd you like best? Do you ask that again on part 2?
No. I just say to them, think about where you were 5 years ago financially. How much time did you get to travel and be with your friends and be with the people you love to be with? And if you're not any better off today than you were 5 years ago, you got to think long and hard about the next 5 years. So I get them thinking, for things to change, you got to change. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. It's right on the slide, right? Then I say the next step is, this is a great news. There's no decision to make. You know, this is about having fun. You know, all we want you to do, we want to set you up for success. You don't have to make a decision. You know, like JR says, let's run it up the flagpole. You know, let's get 2 to 3 people to evaluate it. You need to see it 3 times anyway. So think of 2 to 3 people who you know, like, and trust. Can you just get them to pop on a Zoom? And how did so-and-so get you on this Zoom? Oh, they just asked me to look at a business. That's all you want to ask your 2 to 3 people. You don't want to say any more than that. Trust me on this, because this is where everybody is challenged. They just want to say so much.
And talk.
Less is more. Yeah. Just ask somebody to evaluate something for you. You value their opinion, period.
So if someone can't make it to this part 2 presentation, they are on part 1. Let's say there's 3 people on part 1. 2 of them can make it to a certain time. Do you book another part 2 just for the one person that can't make it, or do you mix them in with a different part 2 that you're doing?
No, I book them in alone.
Okay, that's good.
For part 2, I don't do. That's what the corporate UBPs are. That's what the UBPs are. That's what that's for, and that's a great follow up to any part. Yeah. Really, you know, that could be a great follow up. But what you want to do is book that trial run before you get off. And some people will say, well, I have to get a hold of, see when it's a good time. Well, you know a lot more than 2 to 3 people. Let's book this.
Yep.
And see who you can get in here.
That's good.
Okay. Big, important factor. You have to do everything on a group text. Like okay. When you get off that part 1, when you get off that part 2, a text goes out to everybody that's on that Zoom.
That's good.
So it's not just the new person, because you're doing trial runs like crazy, back to back. We've got so many of them going on right now. We ask people to put their information in on the chat, or the person that's introducing them, they put us all in a group text.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, is how do you get everybody connected? So the person that's initiating the Zoom will be the person that invited the guests we'll do the group text with everybody in it.
Yes, and I'll be like, I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And then the follow-up, you become like best friends.
Yeah. And the guests are on this follow-up text. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Everybody who's on that Zoom is in that follow-up
text. Yes.
And that text is designed to help book follow-ups and to build relationships and rapport between partners.
Well, we book the follow-up before we get off the Zoom. It's to say, we're looking forward to it. I'm so excited. Whatever you want to comment. Not everybody will comment on it, but they know there's a group text going on, and we're there as a team to help them out.
That's so good. Would you probably allow with the same people are on those ones, and you don't book part number 2 into a separate number 2, is you don't have people falling through the cracks. I started feeling like I had this what are those things called, where like you're straining noodles, like the noodles go into it, and like I felt like people were kind of falling out sometimes. And I'm like, I can't.
And that's why you have to keep it all in the same thing.
Yes.
You know, if you want to do a once a month, you're going to do an abbreviated plan and get everybody on, that's different. But you can't imprint like that.
Right. And I like that you're starting all these little fires and kind of getting that one going and blowing on it, and get this one going and blowing on it, and you're kind of getting them all going. It's better to start 30 fires and try to put all the fires into one big fire. It's little fires that'll kind of grow themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And then we all get together. It had gotten to the point where, like, Grace, she just started 6 months ago, and she's got over 50 people on her team, and she's got so many trial runs going, and she's like, everybody wants to meet everybody on their team, so we got together.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's people want to meet people on their team.
Yep.
So now you're creating so much synergy, so much energy, so many relationships. People aren't falling through the cracks everywhere.
Yes, that's so good. It's so important. Super, super important.
But like I had, you know, Arlene, Loie, and Barb both said, we'd like to just see how one's done.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Just as long, because, you know, you can leverage their success, their stories, whatever. That's okay. It doesn't matter if they keep in the fold or not. You're not imprinting them. They come on, they can evaluate, whatever. That's what makes Zoom so much fun.
That's good. So this new person, right? They just saw part 2. They're all excited. You talk about the trial run. Let's raise up the flagpole, see if anybody salutes it. That's my favorite line. I say it every single time just because I think it's hilarious, and I love it. I can't even get it out of my head. Let's raise up the flagpole, see if anybody salutes it. But they see that part 2, and they're all excited, and they want to move forward. How much coaching do you give them, or do you do a text call workshop, or what do you do with them in that moment to get them to get people on the next step?
We just tell them, how were you invited on this?
Genius.
Oh, Susie just asked me to look at it. She was looking at something. That's how you invite your people on it. Okay. So you want to imprint that, you know, invitation, but at the same time, tell them, just ask them to look at a business you're looking at. That's it.
That's good.
You just want them to pop on a Zoom, and that's why you can't show the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, somebody's popping on a Zoom, you built in a relationship, then you're saying there's 2 parts to this process. If you're interested after the first part, we'll book you into a second part. You can't spend a lot of time on that first part.
Right. So I get this person on a trial run. Could you define trial run, or like kind of just give us like a rough definition to work with for trial run?
Trial run is you inviting 2 to 3 people on to help you evaluate it. You're giving it a try. You're actually trying out a business before you buy it.
Okay.
You're seeing it 2 or 3 more times. And if they get just 2 to 3 people on and one person says, yes, I want to take a trial run, and most of them do, when that one person says, I want to take a trial run, my goal is to get that new person saying, I want to get started. I'm ready to register. I will not register anybody until they've got at least one person that has agreed to do a trial run, because you always want to keep moving it forward.
That's good. I like that. Keep the ball moving forward. So person 1, and when do you get these people tickets? Like, I know that's kind of an integral part of what we do. At what point are we selling tickets to this plan? Like when they agree to start a trial run?
All the time.
All the time.
Well, like, especially after they see the plan. Okay. I'll say to them, the best way to evaluate this business, and you're really fortunate to hear about it now and not a week from now because it's taken place. Best way to get somebody to do something is to get them to want to do it. Yes. You explain the benefits. you tell them, I know you're a busy person. You're going to be able to save 6 months of building to learn about this business. So you always want to be selling tickets to the next event. Now you got the whole team on there talking about it. Like, oh my God, this speaker's amazing. Or, you're so lucky you hear about this now. And, this is the best way to evaluate this business. So yeah, you always want to be moving products and tickets.
So good. Moving products and tickets. That's some of the questions on here as well. By the way, I love all of y'all's questions. I'm reading each one, trying to read them without, I'm just trying to go through them, but they're such great questions because they show that you guys are actually doing this. Like these are very well practiced questions. Like there's a lot of them about the product and like how do you introduce product? How do you introduce tickets? When are you doing this?
Let me answer that question.
Okay.
Because when I do a website tour, I'll go into the branded products and I'll say which category interests you the most. You can only do that. See, these are great questions. Like, I don't think of this stuff. But when I go in and do a website tour, I'll say what category or what specialty interests you the most. Is it, cosmetics? Is it skincare? Is it healthcare? And then I might press on that, press the OPC, let the video play for a second, and come back. The last thing I show when I do a website tour, that's a training in itself.
Yeah, for sure.
The last thing I show is I can't even remember. It's the very end where it says so many products, so many stores, so much in, look at Deb Regis's tour, because I've just been sending that out, honestly. I find that after 30 minutes, people, we book the follow-up, they're all excited. I send that out and boom, they're like, wow, our website does that.
Yeah.
Just follow Deb Regis on that. And you can do it yourself or just send the link. But if I were you, I would definitely imprint the Daily Essentials retail system.
That's so good. And getting those 3 packets. I mean, that's why I think that's kind of our base anyway. For if you're going to be in motives, you start out with Trials has marketing of the isotonics. I mean, I think that should be like the base for everybody is to get isotonics customers, and then focus on your major.
I trained my people that after their website tour, they'd sign them up as a preferred customer and then send them the Daily Essentials. So many people fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
Because we're going so fast. But the way you imprint is the way everybody else is going to imprint. So be careful with that. And now that we have the new system, you should be fine.
So let me ask you a question on that. As the owner, could I have like let's say I'm the owner and I have my new trial run person on there. Could I send the product for them, the sample packets for them, and then that way because there's no BV, there's no volume, it's just sending the package, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You've got to do that. Now, I haven't implemented it.
I know. That's why I'm thinking through that as I'm talking.
Yeah, no, that's good, Colton, because I'll either send them out or Pam will send them out or Grace will, one of us will send them out, but somebody drops the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very difficult. This was so needed.
Yeah, it's
this
huge.
New system was so needed. They just saved us because anybody who tries the Daily Essentials for 3 days and has all the information, they're a customer for life. They'll be back.
So here's another very specific question. I think it's a really great question as well. So let's say I'm looking at this trial run. I'm excited about the business, but I don't have the money to get started. So I don't have a lot of financial confidence. So I'm like, I don't have the money. I don't have the $399 or $429 now. I don't have the money to get started with this business. So they feel reluctant to even get people to look at the plan because they're like, what if they want to get started and I can't afford to get started? And there's this tension there. How do you get them to get kind of past that concept and just start inviting people?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I always say to people, don't worry about the money. This is going to take a while for you to qualify. Don't even be concerned. Let's just start out with you leading us to a couple of people that'll help you evaluate it. Don't worry about the money. I always tell them that because when they have 3 or 4 people because we're not going to get people started right away either. They got to do a trial run. So it takes a little bit, but all of a sudden it starts popping and popping.
Yep.
Believe me, they will find $429.95 when they've got people who want to register. And if they don't have the money, they really don't have the money, then you do something for them, have them get some customers, have them get some orders, do a product party for them, do a health and wellness.
That's so good. And
right?
there's a lot of people asking about the shop.com link. I will put that in the email that goes out after this. So you guys should all be able to get that.
Yeah, Deb does a great job in it because we covered everything. I do it a lot faster, and people will be able to do it a lot faster, but she's very efficient. Yeah. And it's only 9 or 10 minutes. And when they see that, it's like, wow, that's what our site does. It's the only tangible thing we have.
Yeah.
They can actually put themselves in that site, and now they come back on to see the 4 steps. Like when you show those steps all in the first meeting, they're going, what the hell is going on? They don't understand hardly any of it, right? But when you can break it up, and, that's the other thing in part 2, that's the part that I am more likely to bring on someone that can relate to them with the same type of background.
That's good.
Because now I know they're serious. I'm not going to waste these people time popping on a part 1.
Right.
Say they're getting on a part 2. Now boom, you just added somebody to the football team. They're coming on saying, yeah, I'm a salon owner too. I did it for 30 years. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Or, yeah, I'm an attorney. As soon as you put somebody on that can relate to their background, it's over.
Yeah. So they watched part 2. They want to start this trial run. They're texting to invite for part 1 for their trial run. Because that's part 3 here. Part 1 is the first part, up through 45 verses 2 to 3. Part 2 is 45 to 2 to 3 to the end of the presentation, where it goes through basically the questions on the slide are beautiful, by the way. If you're at one steps. Yeah. The next, here's what you need to do next, basically. I mean, it's right on there. It's pretty. I mean, you could read that. It's that simple. So that's part 2. So part 3 is now they're on their trial run. They're all excited. They're texting some people to look at it. Here's something that's kind of a common thing, and it's the temptation to share too much. And this is what you're talking about earlier. You got to coach them not to share too much. But the person's like, yeah, I'll definitely help you out. What is it? So how do you respond to kind of that?
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because I want to get your opinion. I don't really understand it. That's why I want you on here.
That's good. I want your opinion. I don't understand it all.
I want you to help me evaluate it, because I really don't. And, 2 heads are better than 1, and 2 sets of eyeballs are better than 1. That's why I'm asking you. I want you to look at it with me. And we're not trying to get them in. I want to get this clear with everybody. We're not just trying to manipulate people and hook people in. No. You don't know who's going to be interested and who's not. But people are going to lead to people who are. And when that person's interested, and you go back and tell all those other people that were looking at it, they're all interested.
Yes. Okay, 2 questions on qualifying their names list. You have 2 different tensions here I feel like people have to balance out. Number 1 is they judge everyone too harshly, where they don't want to really invite anybody because they don't think they have anybody that actually qualifies to even see it. The other side of it is they don't talk to their best people. And one thing I've seen you do countless times, and I'm always mesmerized by it, is you have a tendency to get people going on this proper progression where, let's say they're on a names list of 1 to 10, 10 being the best person in the world, 1 being Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation. And if the person's a 5, you have a tendency to get them going 6, 7, and 8s, versus I feel like a lot of people go 4s, 3s, and 2s because they're more comfortable talking to their friends.
I go 10, 9, 8.
Come on.
The most influential people because they're smart. It's unbelievable when you have somebody like that interested and they look up to them. They're like, wow. And why wouldn't you ask somebody that's smarter than you to evaluate it?
Right.
That is more influential than you to evaluate it. That's why you're asking them to evaluate it.
Totally.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And then when they're interested, and a lot of people look just because somebody asked them to, because they're asking for help, right?
Yep.
They're asking for another set of eyes on it. And when they're interested, and even if they're not, they'll refer you to people. They will refer you to people because they're smart business people.
Right.
So you're not going to have, it was tough for me to get people to start at 10. It took a lot of coaching. And what I did was on my team all in, I said, I want you to list the top 10 most influential people you know.
Dang. Elizabeth Weber, she's number one.
And then the next week I said, I want you to book 10 evaluations with those people. And that's how we're finding all the good people.
Yeah. Because it's easy to end up, because I was talking to my parents and other people in this business about this, but it's easy to go 4, 3, 2, because everyone kind of talks to their 4s because they're comfortable with them. But I see people get beat up the most from the 4s because they're like, why are they talking to me? Like, like, this is obviously a scam. They wouldn't talk to me about a business. Like, they're further along in life than I am. So what are they talking to me for? And then that person, if they get in, they end up finding their 4s, and they find their 4s. And suddenly you end up in this, you're like, how did I get to this meeting? And,
you are absolutely right. The people that are the most influential are more willing to look at things. They're more willing to evaluate something. They already believe in themselves. They've got credibility. People listen to them. They get right on.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever you're doing, I'm doing.
Yep.
Whatever you're doing, I'm doing.
Well, that Dr. Samantha that you had at a convention, I was thinking about this. I'm like, because people were like, how did she get that many people? I'm like, because she's influential. Because she's somebody that knows people, that people trust her, that people are like,
yeah. But the funny part is people usually ask her for her opinion to evaluate it. So when I was telling her she had to ask them to evaluate it, she was like, well, I'm usually doing that for them. I said, I don't care. You don't have to say anything. Just say you're looking at something, you want to get another set of eyes on it. Can you pop on a Zoom? I swear to you, everybody is jumping on board with creating that team culture, people helping people. I mean, it just works so much faster.
Yep.
Faster than you and it's not like we don't want to show it to everybody, but start out with your top people that you would really ask. If you would have put $500,000 on the line on a business, you would ask them to look at it for you.
Oh, snap. That's a great question. If you were going to put $500,000 on the line for business, who would you ask to evaluate it with you? Oh, yeah. I love that.
Who would you ask to take a look at it? And that's kind of the attitude people got to have, because never before have people been looking for something or needing multiple streams of income and not being able to depend on, their industry or whatever, because so much has happened. They are looking.
Yep.
We need to reach out to all of them.
Yep. That's so good. I love that. So a couple more questions here on the trial run process. Let's say the person says they're not interested, right? So they kind of get to the trial run. They're like, actually, I'm not really interested. I got a full plate right now. Come back to me in a certain amount of time frame. How do you turn that into referrals? What's your judo move to get that into referral process at that point?
We just ask, who do you know that we know you're not interested, and we'll follow up with you in how long, 60, 90 days? I usually take it away before they even say they're not interested, because if they're a little wishy-washy, I'll say, obviously timing isn't right for you right now. We respect that. Yeah. We respect that. But, who do you know that's looking for something? I mean, if we reach out to them and they're interested, we'll come back around and let you know.
That's good. I like that. Do you specifically look for people that have direct sales network marketing backgrounds at all? Or do you avoid those people? Or is it just kind of the organic process of building something that those people come across?
Yeah, no, I love those people because I want to give them a break.
Yeah.
We finally got one that works, Yeah. So no, I don't prejudge anybody.
Okay.
Anybody, because everybody knows people.
Yeah.
But you always want to get people kind of looking up for the evaluation. I mean, why would you ask, your brother or sister in that's just getting out of college to evaluate it?
Right.
You might say, hey, look, I want you to look at this.
Yep.
You may love it. I think you're going to love it, but you may, if you don't, that's fine too. You may know people who will.
That's so good.
You just don't want to put them up against a wall. You want to give them a way out, because we want people who are looking.
Yeah, that's so good.
Right? We want people who are looking. And let me tell you, when people lead you to people, like JR does on his video, how we're all people leading to people, and then the last person is a go now, and then all of a sudden everybody stands up.
Yep.
It does happen that way.
It does. And you can go from person E to,
Yeah.
CBA, so quickly, because when they hear there's other people that you led to that are getting in the business, they all want to join. So I've definitely seen that.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I think the secret here is teamwork, keeping it simple, having fun, getting people to lead you to people, leveraging people's backgrounds and testimonies, and find out as much as you can. Like if a person wants to talk a lot about their personal life and all that, let them.
Yeah.
Let them. Don't cut them off. I mean, I don't cut anybody off, but usually we have plenty of time to go through the process. And it's about building a relationship and making them feel important, and being a part of the team. And now it's like, my goal is to have them ask me to join.
That's so good. So at what point, so they're asking to join, at what point do you actually let people join?
When they've led me to 2 to 3 people and they have one willing to take a trial run.
Okay. When they've led to 2 or 3 and one's willing to take a trial run, you'll let them in at that point.
Yeah, and we'll make sure though that we sell them a ticket, we use the getting started guide, we do all that. We're not in a rush to bring people in. A lot of times we'll bring 2 or 3 people in at the same time. Yep. On the same team, because we're not in a rush. They usually have to ask us.
Yeah. The way I always say I don't care about people getting signed up. I care about people getting started. And you can start before you sign up. It's like, I don't care about getting the license. I care about driving the car. Now I need to get the license sometimes to drive the car, but I really am caring about driving the car and getting started on the trial run. So I like that.
Right. And it's such a simple, fun process. And, and people remember us. Like, not everyone says yes. Not everyone takes a trial run, but we go back to them. Because I always say, do you mind if I follow back around in 90 days?
I love that.
You know how we're doing, And you smile, you're friendly, focused. Just like I can feel your energy, Colton, I'm sure you can feel mine.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I really did not believe you could build a relationship on a Zoom, but you can. And this makes it so simple, convenient, powerful, duplicatable, and you can build leaders so quick.
Yeah.
So quick.
Oh, well, I am fired up. I don't know about you guys, but I am excited and ready to rock this thing. ABC 1, 2, 3. I think that just makes a ton of sense. And I like there's some really, really, really key things for me tonight. I don't know about you guys, but one main thing for me was don't over leverage this. The most people that should be on it should be 8. Maximum, really kind of hitting for that 6 to 8 range, 4, 5, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Elizabeth for popping on here. And
anytime. And if there's more questions, just ask me. We can pop on again and answer more questions. I mean, it's definitely a process, and you definitely want to have fun. You don't, you definitely want to have a team on there and have fun, because people are attracted to that. They don't want another job. They don't want to get on Zoom. They want to have fun. That's
good.
Like, you're fun, Colton.
I try to be.
No, you are fun. But that's why you've got to figure out who on the team, the senior business partner or someone way above, are gonna be able to, have fun on this Zoom.
So find a running buddy. So last question. I'm sorry, but I'm on here and I'm listening to this, and I found it on one of the group pages or something, and I'm like, man, I don't even have a running buddy here, man. I'm out here. How do I start finding that running buddy, and what would you suggest for finding those running buddies?
As soon as you bring someone in the business, you found a running buddy.
Yeah.
A running person, a running mate.
Yeah.
And then just pick somebody in your business line that you can go all the way up to the very top. And if you will find somebody.
If you're newer here, you have a report in your back office called Upline Vested Interest. Start calling those people, bugging them out. I think Dad told me this early on. He says, I'm probably not going to quit. I'm probably not going to quit the business based on how many questions you ask me. So go ahead and blow my phone up if you need to. If I don't get back to you, keep blowing me up. And I just took that to heart. I'm like, he's not going to quit. your senior business partner's probably not going to quit because you blow up their phone too much. So just keep hitting them up, keep hitting them up.
Yeah, and you know, it's cool. It's like with this pop-on technique, it's like it only takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not a big part. Like I can be at dinner and go into the ladies' room and do it. And I've done it.
Yeah.
Be on the boat and I do it. I'm on the beach and I do it. I'm at dinner and I'll say, excuse me for a couple of minutes and I'll pop on. I don't mind because in the back of my mind, I'm helping somebody because that 3 to 5 minutes can change somebody's life.
So good. Well, guys, take what you heard to heart tonight. Get out there, crush it. We love you guys. Keep growing, as JR would say. And we'll see you guys at the Northeast Regional and then in Vegas in March. Vegas, baby.
Oh, I'm so excited. And if you want me back on here again, I'll come on again.
Do them again.
I want to get this into everybody's hands because it works.
I love that. I love that. Love you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much.
Love you. Love you guys.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.